Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barracks here, the digital storyteller, and I'm super excited that you have chosen to join me for another episode of Cinecut, where we will be talking about the Moza Air. You ready? Let's go! Woo! Now, for those of you that don't know what the Moza Air is, it is a 3-axis handheld gimbal that allows you to get stabilized footage without using any sort of filters or extra things in post. It actually gives you like the sweetest, dopest, smoothest shots that you can possibly get in camera. And it's an invaluable tool. Today, I will be reviewing it, talking about the pros and the cons of it. But before we get to that, I'd like to go through a few things. I've been using gimbals, stabilizers, and Steadicams for about 10 years. I'm very well versed in it. I've used a lot of things, everything from a GlideCam 2000 all the way to a Movi M15. I've used the DJI Ronin, I've used the DJI Ronin M, I've also used the DJI Osmo and the Osmo Pro, as well as the Zhiyun Crane. There are a lot of products in this particular space. The Moza Air is actually one of the few that I feel gets it almost right. I'd also like to thank the manufacturers Ginsen for sending me a Moza Air for me to test out, try out, and review and tell my honest opinion on. I'm not getting paid by them. I am just using their product. They were gracious enough to allow me to use it, and I'm gonna give you my raw, honest opinion about every part of it. Now that we have that out the way, let's start out with our review. Area 1, build quality. The build quality on the Moza Air is actually really nice. Last August, when I purchased my Moza Air, I was looking for something that could replace or potentially replace my Zhiyun Crane version 1. The reason being is because I felt like the Zhiyun Crane had a lot of great features, but it also had things that just annoyed me. For instance, it wasn't able to balance every camera. And I have everything from a C100 all the way down to a A6300. And I wanted a gimbal that was flexible enough to allow me to balance pretty much any camera body I had. The thing that I loved about the Moza Air and the build quality was that it was a full aluminum body, but it was a little bit bigger than the Zhiyun Crane, which allowed me to mount larger cameras on it and allowed me to get that same sort of stabilized performance in my footage that I wanted to get. It's made out of machined aluminum. It has been finished to the T. This actual handle here is fully rubber and it actually spins off here just like this. Everything else is all aluminum. It's all metal. There is no plastic on this. From the knobs, which are machined very well, and they also have grip points, even all the screws, everything down to the wiring, everything is all high quality, high grade. The other thing I love about the Moza Air is that it feels like it's very well thought out. From the finish to the way that the wires are insulated inside of the actual device itself. The unit has no wires hanging out of it. There are a couple of screws at each point of where the motors are. Everything feels finished and well crafted. If you look right here on the base plate, there's a rubber finish here. That's something that I know with the Zhiyun Crane. The Zhiyun Crane did not have that. This unit itself doesn't need any sort of extra screwdrivers. You don't need an Allen key. You don't need extra tools. It's all a toolless setup. When you're running and gunning and you're trying to film, having a toolless setup is the best things about the build of this particular unit. There are a lot of mounting points. There's also USB inputs. We have a nice joystick here, as well as on and off button. Next up is setup. Setting up a gimbal. For those of us that know anything about that, it can be very involved and it does take some time to really finesse the process. The one thing I will say though is that if you are used to, let's say the Zhiyun Crane or using the Movi or using a Ronin, it is pretty much a similar process. You do have to place the camera on the gimbal, and then you have to start the balancing process and then fine tuning that balancing process. Once you get a hold of that and once you get into that process and learning how to balance it, it's pretty straightforward. The one thing I would say is that out of all the gimbals that I've used in the past, it's one of the more trickier ones to get used to in terms of getting that fine-tuned perfect balance. But when you get that balance, the shots that you get are phenomenal, out of this world. The app is really easy to use. Once you turn on the Moza Air and you've already downloaded the app to your phone, all you have to do is really just connect to the Moza Air via Bluetooth. And you'll see it, it'll come up right on your Bluetooth menu. You click on it, once you click on it, you go back into the app and the app will automatically make that connection. And so some of the things that you can control in the Moza Air app, you can control the tilt and the pan, you can control the yaw to a certain point, a certain degree, as well as you can also control the recording functions if you use USB cables for your camera. The Moza Air allows you to balance the gimbal on a table, on a flat surface, because it includes a tripod in there. It's a miniature tripod, but it allows you to do that. And that's a great feature that helps me out in terms of my setup and allowing me to be as efficient as possible when I'm out and about on a production. Next up is ease of use. Now the ease of use for the Moza Air is pretty simple. You just turn it on, it pops into place, and it's ready to go. I mean, there's not much more than that. After you've already balanced it, you don't have to do much more. This joystick will allow it to go left, right, up, down, all the way around. We're in mode 1. If I want to go to mode 2, I'm going to press the joystick twice. 1, 2, and it's tilting up, it's tilting down, it's tilting up, it's tilting down. This is a fully locked mode, so it won't do anything. So if I spin it all the way around like this, it's locked in one position. This one is the new one that they added in after the update, which is really cool. They call it a dip tilt. And this is really cool if you want to get some interesting shots, especially for music videos. Now, the other thing that's great about the Moza Air package is that not only can you run this system handheld with one hand, but you can also run the system handheld with two hands. So what I have here is the Moza Air connected to the included handlebar or bicycle bar setup, which is great. This is absolutely amazing. So literally when you pull this rig out of the case, you're really ready to go once you set it up. You're ready to go as long as you have a camera. You still gotta have a camera. I mean, Moza's not gonna give you a camera, for crying out loud. So right now I'm not turning the camera. I'm not even touching the thumbstick. I'm not touching the thumbstick on the Moza Air. I'm actually just turning and tilting it using the remote. So if I use the remote now, I can turn it all the way around. I can take a nice little selfie of myself. That's conceited, Tristan. And this is the power of this Moza Air setup. This is what I love about the use of it. I can go handheld and I can also go dual hands. The other thing that's great about having these handles is that it brings stability. Chances are when you're walking with one hand, you're gonna get a lot of Z-axis movement. So you're gonna get that bounce a lot. Whereas when you have two hands, you're able to kind of ease that a little bit more. This is what I'm talking about. You're trying to stabilize this as best as possible and lock your arms in so that you can get the best sort of stabilized shot possible. Next up is performance. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, the performance on the Moza Air is top notch. It's honestly one of the best gimbals I have used, bar none. And the main reason for that is because of the build quality. The build quality of this gimbal is really, really solid. I'm able to add a lot of accessories on the handlebars. I'm able to add a larger camera, so anything from my 5D Mark IV all the way down to an A6300 and everything in between. It just works. It works, it delivers. It allows me to get all the shots I need to get, some really smooth, dope shots as you can see here. And I would just encourage you to really try it out and test it out. So this is the Moza Air remote, which is fantastic. We have a mounting screw at the back here. We also have a thumbstick, and then we have two buttons here, and then we also have a little follow focus ring at the back here. Also allows you to do what we call mimic. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you exactly what mimic is. They call it motion control mimic motion controls, same sort of thing. So we're gonna start it up. And if you look behind me, I'm tilting this, and the Moza is actually responding to the way I'm turning it. So for instance, if you're on a slider, if you are on a crane and you want to be able to use the Moza and control the tilt and the pan, you can just use a remote. You can just use a remote and you can just tilt and pan actually in real time and in real motion. You can control things like follow speed, the power, you can calibrate it, you can control the camera, there are camera profiles in it. So there are a lot of different options within this little remote, this little device that will really allow you to have more of a robust experience when it comes to controlling the Moza Air. I think it's probably one of the best things about the Moza Air because again, it allows you to have some advanced features without spending that advanced dollar. Next up is Timelapse. Now the Moza Air was one of the first gimbals to be able to provide you with the option through the app to do time-lapse. Now I tried to test out the time-lapse feature several times and this is the best I could come up with. I know what you're thinking. I don't know how to do time-lapse. I've done time-lapse before, so that's not my issue. But for some reason, every time I try to use the app and try and do time-lapse on the Moza Air, it doesn't always work out well. So I can't really say that it's a very consistent, reliable sort of solution. I've seen other people do very well with it, but for me, I've never been able to actually create and complete a successful time lapse. So my final thoughts on the Moza Air is that it is for the money, for all of the accessories that you get, the class of gimbal that it's in, I believe that it's the best gimbal out there right now. For all of the accessories that you get with it, just the build quality and the performance, it's really good. The thing that I really love about it too is that it's not just a gimbal, but it's a complete solution. So they include the remote, they include the handles, they include a great app that continues to get better and better and better. They include cables and all of the wires that you need to be able to connect to any camera system that you have. So it comes with everything that you need, all the tools that you need right inside the box so that you can right away run and gun and do your thing. Well, that ends another episode of Cinecut with your host, me, Tristan Barrett. I hope you enjoyed yourself and you learned something too. If you have any comments, please comment below. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, I invite you to subscribe because I would really appreciate it because there's more dope things to come and I want to continue the conversation with you. So let's do it. Be a part of the community, be a part of what we're building. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace!